This video is about points and lines and construction circles, etc. And the reason for that is because everything in Comosys basically works by selecting points. Most commands work by selecting points in some fashion. And a lot of these points are actually available. So if, for example, I were to have enter a column over there, now the existing grids obviously supply us with many snappable points, but then the edge points of our frames also supply us with other snappable points which we can then snap onto. But the point I'm trying to make over here is that most commands will work with points, and sometimes you won't have those points available. So what you will need to do is create your own points if you cannot snap to something which is already there on the screen. And for this, we already have talked about the direct entry method, in which, for example, you can enter, say, if you want to enter a beam, say 1 meter above this point, and the point is not available, you can just hover over this point and say enter and say DZ 1000, and it's going to snap to that point. And then you can come over this point, press enter and say DZ 1000 again and press enter, and your beam will be entered. This is called the direct entry method. But let's say even this is not working, whereas this is the recommended way actually. Without creating any points, you can more or less snap to wherever you want to by using DX, DY, DZ, or the at operator, or the AZ angle operator, etc. A operator rather. But if you actually ended up needing to create points, then under the edit menu, we have our points commands, several points commands, and we also have construction lines and construction circles. So let me quickly go through these. So you can create intersection points, and this basically asks us for 4 points, P1, P2, P3, P4, and P1 and P2 make a line, and P3 and P4 make a line, and Comosys will then create a point where those two lines are intersecting. So let's quickly say if I wanted intersection point between this line and this line, then Comosys will immediately create for me a point at that point. Now, similar to that, there is the dividing point command, which basically divides the line between the two selected points into many you can create many points between the 2 points. So for example, if I were to select this point and this point, it will create a point in the middle of that. If I were to select this one and this one, it's going to create another one in the middle of that. But what you can do is you can press Shift before entering this command, and then you can set how many points will be created. So if I were to set 3 in there and then select this one and this one, then 3 points will be created between those 2 points, and these points will be equidistant. Now, one quick shortcut for this command is that instead of pressing Shift and setting the value for the number of points, let me set it back to 1. There is a shortcut, which is that when you select this command and you select point number 1, just before you select the second point, you press any number on your keypad. You press the number. So right now I'm going to press 5, and while keeping 5 pressed, I click on the other point. And so although the setting inside is 1, but it temporarily overrides that setting and it divides that into 5 points. So if I wanted to divide it into 9 points, I would just, before clicking, I would press 9, keep it pressed, and while holding it pressed, I press on the other one, and I get my 9 dividing points. So this is pretty handy and very fast to create new points if you want to. Similarly, you can have the extension point command, which basically says that as you're going from P1 to P2, I want an extension point which is a further distance d from that point. So if I were to press Shift, I have the option of changing that number. So let's change it to, say, 1500. And when I then, if I'm going from this point to that point, then in that direction, another point which is 1500 away from that. Now, this number can be negative as well. If I were to say minus 1500, then what I can do is I can go to the command and say going from here to there in the direction, in that direction, come minus 1500, so it will come back basically. Now, a neat little trick with this extension point command is that if you press shift, you can even enter defaults like this. So if I say minus 1500, minus 500, minus 1000, and what it'll say is going from 1 to 2, come back 1500, come back another 500, and come back another 1000. So if I were to use those settings and go from here to here, then I can create 3 points in one go. This one will be 1500 from the second point, this one will be another 500 from there, and this one will be another 1000 from there. So that's an easy way to create multiple points as well. Next, we have the parallel points command. So if I were to press shift and enter, it gives me 2 parallel points at a distance of whatever number I enter over here. So let's keep it 1000. So if I were to then choose this point and this point, it's going to create 2 more points at a distance of 1000, which are parallel to that line. So this is the line I chose, and I get these 2 points, which are a distance of 1000 in the parallel direction. Once again, over here, we can use that neat trick of saying 1000 space 500 space 3 into 750, for example. If I do that and I then select these 2 points, this time I'm going to get 1000, whatever number I said, 500, and then 3 into 750. So once again, using this trick, I can create multiple parallel points at variable distances. The next command is the projected point, which basically asks us for 3 points. And what it does is it projects the third point perpendicularly onto the line defined by the first 2 points, as shown in the hint as well. So if I were to select that and I say my first 2 points are this one and this one, so that's the line. And now if I select this point, for example, it's going to project it perpendicularly onto that line. So this is also very useful in detailing, and you can use that. Next, we have these plane points commands in which you can have an intersection between a line and a plane, and it basically works by selecting 5 points. So what you do is you select the first 3 points define the plane, and the subsequent 2 points will define the line which you want to intersect with that plane, and similarly you have a plane-plane intersection as well. Now I want to talk about these construction lines and construction circles. Construction lines can be created like you just basically select any two points which you want, and a construction line will be created between them. And the reason why what you can do with the construction line is you can select it, right click, and you can go to this command over here which says divide to points, and you can divide by piece or by distance. So you can let's say divide it into 3 pieces. It's going to create 3 points between that. Let's divide it into 3 pieces rather. Let's undo that. What you can also do is go to lines and circles, divide to points, and say by distance, and then you can give a distance once again, say 300, 200, 1500, and do that, and now 300, 200, 1500 distances have been created. Now the same thing can be done with circles. So you can create a construction circle, for example, from here to here. And then what you can do is you can select the circle and go to the line and circles and divide to points. And if you divide by angle, what you can say is, or let's divide by piece first, and let's divide it into 12 pieces. So I write 12 over there and say create. And immediately that circle is divided into 12 pieces. Let's undo that. Select the circle again, right click, go to divide by points. Then you can divide by distance, and this is the arc distance. It's along the arc. So if I were to say go for 1 meter and then 1.5 meters, 1.5 meters, and say create, what it's going to do is going to start from the angle 0 and go an arc length of 1 meter and an arc length of another 1500 millimeters. So that's also very handy. What I can do also is go to the lines and circles and divide and say by angle. So I can say 3 into 35 degrees and say create. So it's going to go 35 degrees, another 35 degrees, and then another 35 degrees, and I can have my points accordingly. So using these points and construction lines and construction circles, we can create new points in space which don't exist, and then obviously the whole idea is then to use these points to enter your structure whatever way you want to, because like I said, most commands in Comosys will actually work with points. And once you have these points, then you can very easily continue with your work.